Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are talking about fiber and net carbs. So we'll be discussing what is fiber, why is it important for our health, and also what are net carbs, because you probably have seen it all over labels, but is it really important for us and what does it mean? So the first thing is, why is fiber even an important topic? If you know me or follow my page, you know I talk about fiber all the time because it is one of the most overlooked pieces of nutrition and so important for our health. So fiber, there's two different kinds, which we'll talk about in a second, but it helps regulate our GI system, which is how we detox things. So not detox teas or all these other detoxing systems, but actually having bowel movements is your best way to detox. So you want to make sure that everything is working appropriately. Fiber really helps with that. Fiber can also help lower cholesterol. So it lowers cholesterol absorption in certain ways as well and can be a really great tool. And it also helps prevent things like colon cancer. So overall, one of the most overlooked things about nutrition, because it helps in so many different areas, it keeps you fuller longer and is just really healthy and included in a lot of healthy foods. But there are two main kinds of fiber. That's going to be soluble fiber and insoluble fiber. So they're going to be just like they sound. Soluble fiber is soluble in water, and so we can digest it in our bodies. In human stomachs, we can digest soluble fiber. So that is found in things like grains, like the inner part of a grain, but a whole grain, the outside portion of it, is insoluble fiber. So it's really hard to find a source, unless it's a soluble supplement, that is just one source of fiber. Typically in these foods like whole grains being an option, bread, oatmeal, whatever else, beans even, is going to have both soluble and insoluble fiber. But soluble fiber helps create bulk and it slows down digestion, because if you can imagine it expanding in your stomach, it's also going to keep you fuller longer, keep things in there, and then slow the digestion process. Where insoluble fiber, we cannot digest. Our human stomachs cannot digest them. And so it is mostly found on like the outer portion of that whole grain, like I mentioned. But the most common ways that we talk about insoluble fiber would be vegetables. So we know that they're fibrous, so we can't really break them down, which is also important because they can help speed up digestion. So if things are a little bit slow for you, having more insoluble fiber can be good. But that means it doesn't necessarily keep you full as long as a soluble fiber source would. Again, it's hard to find a source with just one kind of fiber. We generally find them both in a food together, but good to keep in mind those differences and how they are affecting our GI tract. But overall, when we are counting fiber in our bodies, there's a recommended amount for both women and men, and that amount is 25 grams a day for women and 38 grams a day for men. And it's higher for men because they're more at risk for things like colon cancer, and so the recommendation and prevention purposes for fiber is higher for them. But overall, the more the better in terms of fiber from fresh foods, at least. Don't overdo it with any supplements, but from fresh foods, just try to get as much as you can, because I guarantee if you probably look at your day as a whole, you're really not getting as much fiber as the recommended amount. Most people think there's just tons and tons of fiber in things like vegetables, but the truth is there's really like less than 5 grams of fiber in usually a cup of vegetable, where something like beans, you can have half a cup of beans and get almost 15 grams of fiber. So our higher carb foods, which most people are avoiding, don't worry, you don't actually have to avoid them. They're really healthy for us, and I'll link a video below on that. But these higher carb foods actually contain a lot of beneficial things like fiber. So without them, just eating vegetables, you would have to eat a crazy amount of vegetables to actually meet your fiber intake goal, which would be really healthy, but likely you're not doing that. And then we get to net carbs, and fiber matters for this because net carbs is really just an equation of total carbohydrates minus grams of fiber equals net carbs. The reason that they do this is because carbohydrate digestion is slowed with fiber. We know that fiber can slow our digestion, especially soluble fiber, and so they're not as going to spike our blood sugar quite as much as just a carbohydrate food alone that's quicker digesting. So it's beneficial for blood sugar control to have more fiber, but the reason I don't usually use net carb or teach this at all is because it can be confusing for people who really need to monitor blood sugar. Because even a high fiber carbohydrate food is still going to spike your blood sugar, where something like a protein or a healthy fat won't spike it at all. So don't be confused and think that just net carbs means healthy and not going to spike your blood sugar, even if it's really, really low net carbs, because it still has carbs in it and it's still fiber, can still spike your blood sugar. And so we just don't want to confuse that and mess with our blood sugar. So just because something says its net carbs are really low doesn't actually mean that there's no carbs in it. It's just that equation subtracting fiber because it slows digestion a little bit, but definitely still has carbs. So if that's something that's concerning for you, don't be fooled by this label. In general, though, fiber is really, really healthy for us for all those reasons we mentioned at the beginning. And I will also include a blog post of some top fiber foods that you can be eating to help you meet those daily goals as well. But if you have any questions over fiber, please leave a comment in the section below and we will answer them as quickly as we can. And be sure to like this video if it was helpful for you and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our videos.